So first off, we're going to need a block of wood, a small magnet is always helpful, a 1/2 inch and a 5/8 open end wrench, 2 7/16 14 centering bolts, Allen wrenches in a 1/4 inch and a 3/16 size. I like using the socket Allen. You'll need a 5/8 socket, some blue Loctite, a measuring device, and some type of pry tool. Tape is always good for protecting the material, and a flashlight to help see what you're doing. And then I like using a rubber pad so that you don't mar up the faceplate when prying on the front bearing. Alright, first process in replacing the bearing is you'll want to remove the burner. Operator or non-operator side is no preference. The operator side is easier. If you run into any issues removing your rear burner block off, this is the best way to do it, is to come in from the back side with your 1/2 inch open end wrench. Very good. You don't have to remove that all the way, you can just loosen the bolts. And then with your 5/8 open end wrench, you're going to come in and remove this gas line. Key thing to remember is that the burner is supported by this rear tube, so as you remove it, you do have to keep a hand on the burner. And then slide the burner all the way forward, and then give it a tilt, and it will come out. So you'll want to measure inside of your roaster from the bottom chaff tray to the bottom of the drum. So this one, we're about 7 3/8. Take your block of wood, cut to that measurement, and slide it up underneath the drum just to give some support when removing the front bearing. So next you'll use your 5/8 socket, and you want to loosen up the front bolts. Do not remove the bolts all the way at this point. Go ahead and loosen these. Once those are loose, use your 3/16 or 3/32 Allen wrench. Go ahead and loosen these guys. Don't remove them all the way, just loose enough that the bearing will slide off. At this point, you can back off the bolts all the way. Just remember, there are washers back behind the bearing used as spacers. You'll want to either use the magnet or your hand to catch those. For these top ones, you should be able to slide the bearing out using the bolt to hold the washer. If at this point you are having a hard time removing the bearing, take some green tape Place it on your faceplate cover. I use a piece of rubber, and you can get in here with a screwdriver or a pry bar to separate that. That's it. And then slide the bearing all the way off. When you have your new bearing, go ahead, put that in place. You'll want to use the washers as spacers again. And you will want to use your centering bolts. And make sure that you do opposite corners when doing this. Go ahead and start them. After you get those in, don't tighten them in all the way. Come back with your regular bolts. This can be a point too where you end up using your magnet. Once you have those started, use your 1/4 inch Allen wrench. And tighten these up all the way. And then come back in with your 5/8 socket and tighten the other 2 bolts. Once those are tightened, you can remove the centering bolts. And install your regular bolts. Using your 5/8 socket, tighten those all the way. Okay, at this point, you'll want to remove the block from underneath the drum. Check the gap on the drum before locking the set screws in place. So you'll need some type of measuring device. is you can use one of the small rulers. Remove your block. Come up to your drum where it meets with the front plate and make sure that you can measure in 30 seconds. And go ahead and measure the gap in between the drum and the plate. IR12s will have a 3 seconds gap, whereas a IR5 will have a 5/64 gap in the front. So it looks like we're good. There was no movement. So at this point we can lock the front bearing. What you should always do when tightening up the set screws on the front bearing, using your 3/64 or 3/32 Allen wrench, remove the set screw, apply blue Loctite, and then properly tighten one. And then if you have a hard time getting to the set screw, you can spin the drum by hand. Install the second set screw. And then confirm proper tightness on that. Once you have that done, you can reinstall your side burner. Now with your bearing locked in place, to install your front burner, bring it in the same way that you had taken it out with a slight angle, push all the way to the front plate, and then roll it up underneath your burner support. So at this point, you have to use both hands or assistance from a wood block or another person to balance the burner while putting on your burner tube. Start on one side and don't tighten it too much. Slide it into place. Okay, make sure, most importantly with these brass fittings, is to not cross thread. So make sure that it is a comfortable twist as you do it by hand. Take it as far as you can by hand before using a wrench to prevent any damage. Once you got that hand tight, grab your 5/8 open end wrench and tighten up the fittings. Don't overdo it because it is brass and very fragile. So once it stops, don't take it any further. Once your burner is sitting comfortably, you can come to the back of the roaster, tighten up your burner cuffs on the rear with your 1/2" wrench. Tighten up the 2 bolts on your burner cuff. And you're done. So replacing the front bearing on a Diedrich roaster should take you between 20 to 30 minutes with the proper tools, and If everything goes well, you should be up and running with no problems. For replacing the front bearing, this process does work on the IR5, IR12, and the DR25 roasters.